Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Today, I want to talk about Bitcoin compared to other assets. Now, again, this is not financial advice. All my videos are not financial advice. There's one guy talking to a camera, pretending it's you I'm talking to, doing the best I can is to engage you, say hello, would you like I'm trying to talk to you here, trying to let you know what I think. So, my thoughts today about Bitcoin. And I run into a lot of people who have not been in Bitcoin yet or want to learn how to get into it. And by the way, we can help you with this. We're making a video on how we do this. And it's proprietary information for a portion of it. And there is you don't want to trust anybody, but what really don't want to trust anyone but yourself. But if you want to know how to get Bitcoin, or if you need help getting Bitcoin, or especially if you want to get Bitcoin straight from a miner that's not been just out there forever and has a history, brand new Bitcoin, freshly minted, we can help you with that. There's a small premium for it, but that's the service that we do. We're trying to find services that we can offer to work with the community, provide things that people are of value. We don't want to just charge people. And I say we, there's like Patrick and Dylan, myself, and the EconomicPreppers. Like, there's a lot of things that we're doing that are free, right? But we're also trying to monetize because we gotta, people like to eat, people like to keep lights on, that kind of thing. But anyway, if you need help getting crypto and you want to know how, or silver or gold, let us know. We have really great avenues for all that stuff. The number is going across. I am working on my business line. It's been I'm stuck between Xfinity, Comcast, and Verizon. I'm working that out, but I should have that up probably by the time this video airs. Most assuredly. If not, email me at LitecoinLeader.com. Okay, 1%. What am I talking about with 1%? 1% today, I want to talk about, like, when I first started watching coverage of Bitcoin on CNBC, the guy who was talking about it for the most part was Anthony Pompliano. And everybody was like, this is 2016, 2017, that kind of time frame. Has not run up to 20 grand yet. But Pompliano was big on it, and he had a voice and he had an audience, and he was talking to them and said, look, what's the harm with a couple percent? And like a lot of people started to say, 1%. And 1%, and they started to do the math. If you had 1% exposure to Bitcoin, and it went from 1,000, it went up 20x, right? Roughly 1,000 to 20,000, that time frame when it first ran up in 2017. It hit basically 20K. If you had 1% of your funds in that 1%, let's just say you had, like, whatever your investment portfolio is, whatever the number is, and this is not financial advice, but let's just say you have $1 million of assets. You can scale it up or down. Let's go with 100,000. 100,000 is your number. You have $100,000 worth of assets. If you put 1% of that would be $1,000. $1,000 into something that goes up 20 times, and then taking profit, of course, you now have a 20% impact on what you used to have. You went from $100,000 to basically $120,000, give or take the 1,000 you started with. But you get the idea. So that 1% exposure gives you 20% upside with the downside of that 1%. So what's the harm of putting 1% of your funds? Let's just say you had $10,000, put $100 into Bitcoin. And if you don't know how, I wanted to talk to you about some of the reasons why you should. Not just the exposure. Okay, so $10,000 start, you can start with that's $100. If you start with 100,000, you're starting with $1,000. But if it goes up 20x, that's a 20% net to your bottom line. Even if you just had, I'm just doing the numbers here. If you had, let's just say you went higher than that. Say you went 5%, and you had $100,000. Now $5,000 at 20x, you basically doubled your entire portfolio. You went from $100,000 to $200,000 for a 5% exposure to Bitcoin. Now, that's, of course, the upside. The downside risk is 5%, is the 5K. But how many other investments have you had that have gone down 50 to 80% in that same time frame? But the upside potential of Bitcoin is such a large number. But the other reason that you want to get, say, a 1% or dabble in, just get like a 1% into Bitcoin, get $100 to $1,000 in there, right? This is not financial advice, but start with a number between $10 and $1,000, okay? And you want to get that into Bitcoin. By doing this, you're going to learn how to get a wallet like this, or a similar wallet like an Exodus or a Trust or an Atomic, or even a Ledger or Treasure. I don't necessarily recommend all those. To know more about that, go to my website and see the video I talk about how using a smartphone to be your wallet. It's a slightly more advanced way to do it, but it's much more secure. But in any event, like, don't use your day phone. Like, if you're going to use your day phone, and for $100, it's probably not that big of a deal. But you understand your risk has gone up because there's no telling how many Trojans or viruses are on this thing. Okay. So if you have a brand new smartphone, that's what the video talks about. That's how you set up a wallet on a smartphone. But for the most part, if you want to get into Bitcoin for, say, 1%, doing that will let you try it, learn about it, track it, understand it. You learn how to do the process. How do I get $100 of Bitcoin? How do I get $1,000 of Bitcoin? How do I purchase it from, say, a Coinbase, or probably not an ATM? That's too much of a fee, but Coinbase or Cash App or whatever. Then you have to learn how to move it from that app. I think Venmo can do it now too, but you can move it from there and port it over to your wallet. So that's, now you know how to, now you looked at a Bitcoin address. Now you know how to move it. And hopefully, you know, you only move like $1 at first, just to make sure that you understand how it works. And that's your learning curve. That $1 is an expensive learning curve. Even if you lose the dollar, which I'm sorry to say, but there is a possibility that you're going to do it wrong and you're going to lose that dollar into cyberspace because you messed up something. Because you need to take that QR code or that address from the new Bitcoin wallet, the receive address, and then take the Bitcoin and wherever it is that you purchased it and send it to that address. Exactly. Hopefully it's a QR code. It's easy, but you still want to check and read the digits and numbers that they match. And then it takes a while, but hopefully your app will say, hey, you have $1 coming to you. It just needs to settle out on the blockchain. And then that usually takes 3 rounds of three more blocks to be added. What that does is, like, it validates and it cements and then it concretes like that transaction, because every block built after your transaction is that much more like the blockchain is done to that point. So move the dollar to a wallet. You learn how to get Bitcoin. You learn how to move it. You learn about addresses. You're learning about security because you're writing down these security words and phrases, hopefully in a safe place. And now you're going to start watching Bitcoin to see how it performs. So you've got all the reasons to do this, get this exposure, not just the returns, but now you're now in cryptocurrency. You have the top project in the world in cryptocurrency. You have exposure to Bitcoin. Welcome to the crypto world. You're now a crypto investor. Congratulations. But you get exposure. You've tried it. You learned it. You also can have better returns, as I talked about earlier. You're diversified. You're not just in precious metals. You're not just in the stock market. You're not just in bonds. You're not just in cash. You're in a new asset class, which is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But Bitcoin is the leader in the clubhouse by far as the #1 project in all of cryptocurrency. It's anywhere from 30 to 50% dominant at any given time, last few years, for how much Bitcoin represents all of cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency, let's say Bitcoin's about, I'm going to say it's $25,000. It's a little higher now, but let's say it's $25,000, and there's roughly 20 million Bitcoin. That means Bitcoin's market cap is 25 times 20. That's 500 billion. So it's 500, and then you have to do the zero. So it's $500 billion, or $500 billion is Bitcoin, which is a spec, because gold is 12 trillion. I think art's around 10, collectibles around 8. And then the stock market's in the hundreds, and real estate's in almost, well, like 300 trillion, something like that. It's like 900 trillion of assets on the books versus Bitcoin that like all of crypto is less than $1 trillion. So the rest of the entire globe is 900 times larger than all of cryptocurrency put together. So you get all this, you get a chance of doing it. And you also are out of the dollar system, which we know is dying. The dollar is garbage. It's not going anywhere. We see all the inflation. We see countries running away from it. All those reasons. So all these reasons above, and not just through returns, but educating yourself, learning if you need to go to cryptocurrency. Now you know how. You know what a wallet is. You know what an address is. You know how to move it, and you know a crypto guy like myself. So, lots said today. I would love to read your comments down below. I always do. I will respond to all of them. But the best way to reach me, the numbers, the web page, the emails, electronic communication is perfect for me, because that way it's always there, and I can come back to it, get to it, and there's a record of it, which is great. But I will do phone calls too. It's just that I'm still working on the office line, but it should be corrected by the time you see this video. In any event, I'm looking forward to seeing your comments down below. Please like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff for the channel, which I never remember to say at the top. Hopefully you remembered it for me. Thank you very much. So with all that said, I'm going to close the drawer in the bureau, say follow leader one more time, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.